Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Today. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Kayla Megwa.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Yeah, 24 degrees centigrade here in Abuja. So, the Eagle Square. I saw it when it was a little cloudy, just as though when you're just getting up early in the morning. But all the same, yeah, that is the location in case you might miss it. That is it right there.
The main square in Abuja. There it is. It's located between the head of service and the Federal Secretariat building. The three-arm zone, we like to call that part of the nation's capital. Yeah, and that is supposed to be a central park. It was proposed as a central park, but that was changed. Because of the arcade there. So, that arcade is one that we go to almost every January. Well, not almost every January, we go to the arcade where we celebrate those who have died to keep us alive, And the Eagle Square has a lot of historic things have happened in this place. We've seen the swearing in of presidents. We've seen all kinds of rallies. We've seen all kinds of protests.
Including the ones prevented from holding
the ones preventing others from protesting. All of it happens at the Eagle Square. But yeah, it's a very lovely part of the nation's capital. The last time we talked about the Eagle Square was when protesters were tear-gassed there during the End Bad Governance protest.
And the Occupy Nigeria 2012.
Oh yes, that's where Occupy Nigeria happened.
I'm just saying.
It wasn't famous.
But the only reason, so why
happened there?
Why do you call it Eagle Square?
Okay, should we change it to
No.
Tell us, it's your turn.
The coat of arms
in this country.
The coat of arms has the eagle at its top. Maybe, I don't know. We're gonna have to ask them in the presidency.
Is that why they call it?
How am I supposed to know?
I don't know. I mean,
well, it sounds like it has a good ring to it.
I think it has something to do with its location, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're supposed to gather at the Eagle Square to pay respect to.
You see the same thing with Tinubu Square.
Oh no!
I should tell you.
We should be checking this.
He goes there time and
This
again.
tea that Chamberlain takes in the morning.
Thank you.
We need to be checking.
Thank you.
Who has it?
Anyway, can we move on, guys? Can we move? No. No one can say this is not part of the Eagle Square. And look at that unraveling.
Look at my city. Is that Abuja?
Well, there's only
From the
one.
clouds.
Yes.
My goodness. That's beautiful. Our beautiful city.
Yeah, so what do we have with the dailies, guys?
Well, as you can imagine, the dust hasn't quite settled and not likely to happen anytime soon by the Edo elections. So you can be sure that the Edo elections is very, very prominent on the front pages of the papers. Neither has the flood issues, Kayla.
Oh, yeah.
It's also on the front page. The front page of, for instance, I think the Daily Independent this morning has those two stories, by the way. Those two main stories of the Edo elections and the reactions of various political parties to the story. Of course, we'll be talking about that one later on today. Particularly the position of Yaga Africa. That, well, they are not questioning anything but the coalition process, in particular, that the election failed the integrity test.
I mean, there were particular things that CSOs brought up, and another thing was one that we kind of suspected was going to happen, which was vote buying, and how rife it was, And I remember then I think it was me and Malk that were on this set, and we were asking, with the situation in our country right now, how are you going to stop people from selling their votes? Because they will up it from that 2,000 that we're used to. It was up.
They said it was
10,000.
20,000.
20,000.
Between 10 and 20,000, and that's really shocking for me.
So
but
the next election might be 30,000.
Or 50.
Especially, you talked about the cost of elections yesterday, 300 and something billion.
Yeah.
What's it going to be in 2027? 600 and something billion? I don't know, please. Don't quote me. But we're just, permutating here. So it goes to the question that we ask from time to time. Can we look at other options? But I'm not really interested in that one. There's always every year options. Every year we talk about every election, not just election cycle. Every election we're talking about tinkering with our processes in terms of elections and all of those things. And even in the recommendations of Yaga Africa, they are also still talking about, hey, there is a need for us to look at the laws all over again, to look at the machinery about the. But we talk about that. We've been doing that since 1999. So can we look at other options? Can we look at we've gone to the point of electronic transmission, right? Okay, even the electronic transmission of results still has the physical element. You move from one place to the other.
They say it's not really electronic transmission.
It's just
upload to the
It's
iPad.
uploading. Yeah.
So it's not electronic uploading.
They are very careful about those words.
Exactly.
Anyway,
and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but electronic voting really going to stop?
I saw on the news.
They can transfer.
I saw in the news that
they'll just incorporate it into the cost.
In the US, that they send your voter whatever to your box. But the story that I'm interested in is at the bottom of the page, where the federal government is talking about residents being moved from one place away from flood-prone areas. And I think it is something that should give us serious concern. In the event that that is not possible, what happens?
Let's move on now to the Guardian newspaper. I mean, everything is on the Guardian newspaper. Basically, all the newspapers basically have the same stories. But this one really piqued my interest. And it's the Federal Executive Council okaying a plan to strengthen national value system in schools. Now, we've been talking about changing the way Nigerians are, if we change the people. You know, these elections that we keep talking about and the drama within it. The honest truth is, if the system is strong and accountable, even if you put a monkey in power, he would have no choice but to adhere to these rules that will be beneficial to the people. The reason why the focus is always on strong men, strong women, let's have such on this person's character, this person's personality. These things are not what makes a good leader. It is systems that are accountable. If the system works, no matter who you are, if you get in there, and I think I've heard Jerry Rollins say this. It was in an interview he had. He said he was talking to a reporter. He actually called her my dear sister. No matter who you are, systems in Africa, systems in Nigeria have to become strong enough so we do not have to worry about the personalities and the corruption of the people. And it starts from building it as a young person.
It's the people that build systems.
Oh, yes.
It is also the people that corrupt systems.
Yes.
Cultures are essentially about what people say, what people don't. So it's the people. At the end of the day, it's all about the people. So
but I think it's very important that FEC is trying to start value systems in school. Let's have a crop of people who think these things matter. Let's start from there.
I think
we talked about dances.
Please start value system in politics first. Please remove the speck in your eye before you look at the wood in somebody's eye. Value system in school is good, but value system in politics will not be a bad idea, I tell you. Well, back in the moment, everyone. Stay on with us.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Sunrise Daily right here on Channels Television, and we have quite a package for you this morning. We're going to start off with our business headlines. MPC is holding today. So in business, the markets will be bracing for this MPC decision. We'll be watching to see how all of that unfolds today. So we are on with that one. I think we're going to take that live as well. So yes, looking forward to that. And that will be leading the business conversations.
Will the interest rate reduce?
Will it reduce? Will it be increased? What is the situation?
You guys have started the questions yet. Wait until 10 o'clock. But we've had to ask a number of questions about security as well, because without security, business cannot really go anywhere. Chamberlain, you engaged the Minister of State for Defense. What are some of the issues raised?
Well, he spoke about local manufacturing of equipment in this country so that we don't have to keep spending millions of dollars to buy them abroad. And then he talked about the allegations leveled against him of sponsoring bandits, as well as... enough.
Has he done enough? Enough. Please, let's take that interview.
Now by the Honorable Minister of State for Defense, Matawalle, here on Sunrise Daily. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Chamberlain.
Let me start with DICON, Defense Industries. I mean, we've heard the military say time and again they need weapons. And we know the MRAPs, very expensive. If one blows up, has a lot of money. In hard currency, as a matter of fact. You were recently commemorating with Daikon at 60. What do we expect from Daikon and from your ministry?
Okay, thank you for asking me the questions about Daikon. We see for long, Nigeria need to advance, not just for anything, but for our own local productivity. For example, we have been traveling all over the world to see the exhibitions for ammunitions, but unfortunately Nigerians or Nigeria are not producing much to cater for the need of our armed forces and other security agencies. But today, under my watch as a minister, as supervising minister on Daikon, we have a lot of programs which within limited time, Nigeria will now realize, yes, we have the capacity. For example now, if you go to Daikon, that you know for the first 4 years, if you go to Daikon, you see a tremendous change because many investors are there investing and trying to do our own local productions. So as not just for Nigeria, but to give to other nationals like other African countries. Before we are buying these ammunitions with foreign currency, but all what we are going to produce now will be bought by Naira. It's as good as what an MPC is doing with Dangote refinery. Therefore, all our ammunitions will be gotten by Naira, and we ease the issue of forex within the country.
So no more pressure on
dollar for the ammunition. Because before, we have to pay in dollars. And even if we pay, we have to be in line for maybe 2 years, 3 years, or lowest is 6 months before you get your productions. Therefore now, it is not like that. We have a lot of investors who invest in Daikon, and they are advancing every day. They are advancing all the MRAF, most of the arms, most of the ammunitions are being produced now in Daikon. I wish one day you should have a visit to see how we remodeled Daikon and to see the activities of those investors who are doing there. That is the reason now when Mr. President has signed the bill into law, the establishment of Daikon and the act, it is there. And we thank Mr. President because now any memo goes to the Federal Executive Council, particularly for the procurement of arms or ammunition, it is referring to the ministry for the purchase. Therefore, Daikon is working now, and we hope with a limited time we can be able to meet our demand and all the productivities and productions.
So, does the ministry have a target in terms of how many years before we have a complete, or should we expect a complete non-reliance?
Yeah, of course.
Forex?
What we are talking about now, some have already bring their line of productions. They are already there. Some are bringing their own. Therefore, it's not just one person. We give a lot of people who we know that they have the capacity. We can't just give people who cannot be able to come and do the production here. So because we need someone who can come and do the local production here, so we create job opportunity and we reduce the pressure on the forex. Therefore, most of them are having their productions line now in Daikon. Therefore, we are going to produce our own. For example, I have said it before. The armed forces need a lot of arms yearly. Combined with the armed forces and other security agencies, we are looking about like 300 and something million, round of ammunitions per annum. And we have some pressures from other African countries who want to purchase from us here as Daikon is here in Nigeria. Therefore, we are trying to see how we can be producing much so that it will be enough for us and to sell to our sisters countries.
So, are we going to immediately start supplying them, or we tell them, hold on a bit, we can sign the contract, but let's ramp up our local supplies to a certain extent before we start giving?
Yeah, as I'm talking to you now, we have a lot of production going on there, and I believe within 4 to 5 months we can be able to meet our demand. As I said, this is not just one person. It is a lot of investors who are already there, putting their investment and putting their production line. Therefore, we want a situation whereby we can be able to feed ourselves before feeding others. So even now, most of the purchases that we have outside the country, we have to follow due process, and we have to follow line. Some given us 2 years, as I said, and some 3 years. But now with this advancement that we have here in Nigeria, we don't need that. So we are trying now to have our own ammunition here in house. Therefore, from there we can be able to give other nations. But we need to have our own first.
So if anyone watching wants to maybe join or come to DICON as probably a designer, someone who can come up with a proper concept for ammunition, is there any chance for such people?
Yeah, of course. We have a lot of talent individuals. We have some of them who are there.
They don't have to be in the army.
Yeah, they don't have to be in the army.
Oh, okay.
If they are talent, we can work with them. All we need is how they can be able to put value to DICON. We have a lot of intellectual people who can be able to do the designs, manufacture, and so on and so forth. So most of those guys, if they are interested, yes, they can approach us. We can be able to blend them within our own system so that they can be able to put more value to the industry.
Also, let's talk about Sokoto. And I was reading some of your pieces and you spoke about how the president called and said, leave whatever you're doing and get down to Sokoto. So service chiefs also swung into action after the military spoke to them. So tell us, many wondered, did he have to take the president for everybody to realize Northwest security there needs to be addressed? And what is the significance of going to Sokoto in that manner?
Yeah, you see, it is Mr. President who called. It was when the Emir of Gobir was killed. You remember, President was not in the country, so he was shocked by the killing of the Emir. And after he condoled the families and the good people of Sokoto State and the government of Sokoto State, he then called and said, whatever we are doing, we shall mobilize to Sokoto to ensure the safety of the region. Because, you know, Sokoto is the center of the brigade, is a brigade which comprise Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, Katsina. So therefore, we all march to Sokoto to strategize on how to go after these bandits. Myself and the CDS and other services were in Sokoto. And we thank the governor of Sokoto. He's a wonderful man. He has done everything for us. When we were in Sokoto, we met about 12 of his commissioners waiting for us in the airport to receive us, including his secretary to the government, including the head of service. Most of this cabinet are in Sokoto airport waiting for us to arrive. After we arrive, we go direct to the brigade, where we have been briefed by the securities. After we take our brief, we then go direct to government house for the courtesy call, and immediately the governor gave all the support that needed, particularly by the Air Force. And he's supposed to travel, but he cancelled his trip just for him to receive us in Sokoto. And he provided all the necessary things that we needed, particularly for our troops and for our equipment. So he provided everything for us. So we thank the governor of Sokoto for this tremendous support to the armed forces of Nigeria and the other security agencies. In fact, if most of the governors are doing the same, Nigeria will be free from all sort of criminalities. The same thing with the governor of Katsina State. From Sokoto, I stationed in Sokoto. I stayed in Sokoto for 5 days, but the CDS and other services went to Katsina State to meet with the governor. The same thing, the governor did all he can to ensure that he provide all the support to the Nigerian armed forces so that they can be able to operate in the zone. Therefore, we record a lot of successes by going to Sokoto.
I know that they've been speaking about the success and the feedback they have. So if you can tell us, what is the latest information you have? And also talk to us about what targets do you have? Is it that when this operation is over, there should be no such thing as bandits wielding any influence whatsoever?
That is what we are working for. And by God's grace, we'll achieve it. Because these people have been operating for decades, we need to flush them out. And the military are doing their best to ensure security and safety of all citizens. The president is worried about the insecurity in the north. Many people are saying that there is no security. Many people are insulting both the president and the ministers and all this and that. But what I'm saying to people, let them pray for us. It's better for them to be castigating us, insulting us, because this war is a collective responsibility for each and every Nigerian. I was a governor before in Zamfara State, and I know how I fought this insecurity. I'm the first governor shut down network for 3 months in Zamfara State. I follow all options in order to get Zamfara out of this menace. But as God have it, we still have those criminals operating all over. When I left the state as a governor, all the 14 local governments are secured. None of the 14 local governments...
All 14?
Yeah. None of the 14 local government headquarters can witness any strike or any abductions or killings. I mean, the local government headquarters. 14 local government, you should go and ask.
So why are some people saying that? No, that is not true. Because
no, I'm talking about the 14 local government headquarters.
Okay.
Yes, some of the local government, you know, each local government have a lot of villages and communities. Like my own local government, Marad local government, we have 10 wards. 10 wards. But in Marad local government, I mean, all the 14 local government headquarters, none, you can go and ask by yourself, none of the 14 local government been experience any attack or bandit, kidnap or killing of anyone. Therefore, today, if you go, the situation has changed. So it is the reason why now we need to stand off and fight these people, because they don't care whether you are APC, PDP, or you are a journalist, or you are a comedian. They don't care. All they need is if they see you, they will kill you, or they will kidnap you. Therefore, all I want is for Nigerians to pray for the armed forces and the Ministry of Defense so that we can win this war. Speaking
about your time as governor, about 2 months ago, a certain bandit was circulating all over the place saying that you, while you were governor, encouraged bandits. He went on to say that the amnesty deal failed and that he ended up giving money or putting money in the hands of bandits who began to wield a lot of influence and were recruiting people. So by exception, they say you were supporting aiding bandits.
So let me tell you, yes, I initiated the reconciliation dialogue, because when I became a governor, I look at the scenario, what is happening. Why bandits are killing people in Zamfara State? So I was thinking the best way to tackle the situation. So I have been getting a lot of advice from different sectors, which I ended up to call a stakeholders meeting at that time. I called the traditional rulers, I called the religious leaders, the security agencies, the leaders of the Fulani, the leaders of the Ansaki. That is the vigilante group. I will hear from each group differently. I did not combine them together. So after we now finish discussions, I now sat down with the security agencies of the state then. I remember security agencies comprise police, army, DSS, immigration, all of them, civil defense. So we sat down together based on the recommendations that we have from the people of the state, from the traditional rulers. So we have a recommendation that the only option that time is for us to dialogue with the bandit.
Was it a success? Did it work?
Let me tell you, that is the recommendations we have. Then after I sat down with all the security agencies, they are alive. We have some of the CPs, they rose to the rank of DIGs and some AIGs. They are all alive. We have some of them who are now retired generals. They are there. So which, after we get this recommendation, we say, okay, now, the best way, let's go for the dialogue as recommended by the traditional institutions, by the religious leaders of the state, by the stakeholders of the state, by all the leaders of the state. I have no option rather to do that, because it's better for me than to see bandits killing my subjects, killing individuals in the state. So when we enter into this dialogue, that was where we recorded a lot of successes. We recovered a lot of ammunitions, and we secured the release of abducted persons in thousands. The record is there. And let me tell you, what they are saying, most of them, they forgot. Even President Buhari, when he went to get the Chibok girls, you should remember, what did he do? What did he do with the Boko Haram during his tenure? He now, reconciles with the BH and release some of their victims, while the Chibok girls were released. And it's a global practice everywhere in the world. That is permissible. If I want my people not to be killed, you can enter agreement with those people so that you can secure the release of those innocent people. What is happening now between Israel and Palestine? It's the same thing. They are now begging the Palestine to release their. That is.
But considering.
Do you understand? So now, if people are saying that because of that, everybody in Nigeria knows that there was a time that I initiated the dialogue. Yeah. That's the time that I did that. And I have no regret for that, because I recorded a lot of success then. How many people, including some foreign nationals, I secured the release of them without paying ransom, without paying single kobo. Let me give you an episode. A junior brother to Dawda Lawal was kidnapped 7 months before I took over. He was kidnapped. His name is Yusuf. After we initiated this dialogue, they requested about 500 million ransom, which Dawda refused to pay. But it was based on this dialogue, this person was released unconditionally without paying a ransom. Go and ask. The record is there.
Did they know this? Because some of them seem to say no, that
he's aware. Everybody, no, this is in a public domain. It is not meant for him to accept, but the record is there. The people of Zamfara can testify to that. They can testify to that. Not me. I cannot be judge of myself. But you should go and ask the people of Zamfara. The record is there. The record will not lie. Therefore, many people will say different things. All I want, people misconceptions. See, people trying to just blackmail someone just because of hatred. That's all.
But why would they keep saying that you were aiding and abetting?
Okay, they should bring any proof for that. They should bring any proof for that. Because I dialogue, and it was not only me, remember. All the governors dialogue. The governor of Niger State, then he dialogued with bandit, Abuja Bello. The governor of Sokoto, Aminu Waziri Tambol, do the same. The governor of Katsina do the same. Most of the governors do dialogue. Why only me? But because in Zamfara, you don't know Zamfara. Zamfara is a very complex state, very small state, but with terrible human beings, with devilish, ideas.
Why is that the case?
Because the people are just different. Because everything Zamfara. Let me tell you an episode. I was a governor when someone was arrested, cutting throat, and removing eyes of human being. I arrested the man by myself. I went to the police station and sat down And I directed the commissioner of police then to make sure that he should go and arrest the guy. They brought the man. When we asked him, my brother, it is terrible. So many things happen. Yes, the people of Zamfara will not like me. You know why? Because I am fearless and I can deal with anyone. Most of those that are doing such kind of heinous acts, they don't like me because I go after them. All of them.
Are they politicians?
Yes, I go after them. And let me remember you, when I was a governor, I'm the only governor that swear to Holy Quran that I have no hand or connections with banditry, or I am not happy with what is happening. Do you understand? I swear with a Holy Quran that if I am happy with what is happening, or if I am part of it, or if I know those that are doing it, or if I'm collaborating with them, I say God should not give me a 1 second grace. I'm the only one. And I challenge all the politicians that time, including General Alubuso, that they should swear to Holy Quran. None of them, including Dauda, none of them can do this oath, can take this oath. None of them can take the oath. But I take it. Why? Because I know my mind. I know I have a clean heart. And not even that, including all my councillors, commissioners, chairmen, I will not give you appointment. You have to take that oath. Go and check. The record is there. And up till tomorrow, I am challenging those people that they should do that oath. They should take the oath up till tomorrow. I am challenging them. They should take the oath that I have taken.
So does it mean if they have not taken that oath,
yes,
for instance, the current government and their commissioners,
they are part of it?
Are you suggesting they are part of the terrorism?
Let them take the oath with the Holy Quran, as I have done that openly with all the imams in Zamfara State. They are there. I have taken this oath, and I challenge them since that time. None of them, up till tomorrow, are taking this oath. But I cannot give you a commissionership or advisor or any appointment. You have to take that oath. Go and ask. The record is there. That's what people are talking about. Is it because sometimes some things, it is not even good for someone to respond, because to me it's nothing. It is inappropriate for me as a minister to respond to such kind of issues. But because people with their devilish ideas, they are talking anyhow, people doesn't fear God, they think that this is the end of it. I was a governor before. Today, am I a governor? I'm not a governor now. So tomorrow, those that on that seat, they will not be there.
Part of the allegation, what they're circulating is that while you were a governor, that you embezzled 250 billion naira. Is that true?
So now, if the person who say it is crazy, I know you are not a crazy. For my 4 years, I did not even receive that money.
How much did you receive?
Go ask, the record is there, and the indices are in the Ministry of Finance, Federal Ministry of Finance, or Accountant General of the Federation. It is on record. And let me tell you, I don't understand why I pity Dauda. I pity him. Because it's like you don't even know where to start. I thought for now he should concentrate on giving good governance to the people of Zamfara State. I thought for now he should concentrate on the issue of insecurity. I thought for now he should realize that governance is a continuous process. Because if he is in that seat today, tomorrow he will be not. I thought he would realize that. But how can someone come and be telling lies? A whole governor to come and deceive the public.
What lie has he told?
Yeah, how can he said unaccounted 240 billion? Before, he said 70 billion. Now he said 240 billion. But it is not a surprise to me. If you know who is Dauda, it's not a surprise. Because this is someone that he cannot even know what he's talking about. For example now, the whole state, there was a time that the allocation from federal government to the state government, I got just 1.9 billion, while my salary is about 2.3 billion. The only 2 times that I got about 6.4 billion for both state and local government, I think it's just 2 times for the period of my 4 years.
You didn't get up to 150 or 240 billion.
That's what I was telling you. For a month, it was only 2 times I got about 6.something billion for both state and local government. Now go and ask today. There's a time the state government alone got 28 billion per month. And go and ask. Now, the state government is not getting less than 18 billion per month. Well, during my time, I just got 1.9 billion. Highest 3 billion in my time. I have a record here with me. And let me tell you, when I saw what he was talking about, I just pity him. Because it shows that he is not a leader. Is it only Zamfara? The Sokoto governor defeated a PDP governor. Have you ever heard him talking anything about that governor? Dauda spent 2 years complaining. Every day you saw him in television, he's complaining about Bello Matawalle. I think even if he sleeps, he is dreaming of me. I think.
Did you do anything to him while you were a governor to frustrate whatever he was doing?
Yeah, the only thing I know, he deviously bring some things for me, which I rejected that.
How do you
I've
mean?
said it before.
Did you say dubious?
Yeah, he deviously brought something to me, which I rejected it when I was a governor. Let me tell you the history. When I was a governor, Dauda brought a proposal for fertilizer because he have a fertilizer blending plant in Zamfara State. So being an indigen, in good faith, I accepted his proposal that he's going to supply us fertilizer of that season. I gave him an intent letter, thinking that he is going to supply the fertilizer because he come as like he have the fertilizer on the ground. He begged me. I then decided that so many people introduced some contractors to me, but because I thought he is from the state, and I thought he have the capacity to supply this fertilizer. So I gave him the intent letter. If you go and ask the Commissioner of Finance, at that time, my Commissioner of Finance, they will call that person more than 200 times per day. More than 200 times, asking him payment. And before, he come as like a big boy that he have this fertilizer and he want to supply to the government. So because what I know him very well, so I said, okay, let him go and bring just 10 trucks of the fertilizer. These 10 trucks take us 7 months. He cannot bring it. At the end, he come with the papers of a bank. I have them here. That I should sign for him his certificate of his company. He want to go and take facility for a bank. I said, which facility again? He said, he want to take the facility so that he can be able to supply us the fertilizer. From there, I said, okay. So what he is doing to design, he want to do it to me. Former head of state, I reached out to the former head of state, which Dauda said he talked to. The former head of state, what he talked to me, I said, I have no problem with that. Anytime. But up till today, Dauda never reached out to me. And let me tell you, when the student of University of Gusau, University, was kidnapped, the president directed all of us to go to Zamfara to commiserate with the people of the state. Myself and my colleague Badaru been calling Dauda, he did not respond to our calls. Let he respond to Badaru's call. We are around. So Badaru tell him that the president directed us to go to Zamfara. This guy was in US, despite the fact that the student was kidnapped in his own state. He was in US. So he begged Badaru that please, we should allow him to come back before we come, because if we go to Zamfara, we will disgrace him. So Badaru talked to him. Badaru is alive. He talked to me. I said, no problem, Badaru, let us wait for him. If it was Dauda, he foresees tell the whole world that Matawalle run away after kidnap from his state and the president sent us. But have you ever heard me telling anything about that? I did not.
So there has been no meeting between both of you ever since?
No meeting. And this is how we cover Dauda for his inability. Because if it was someone, I could have blown it off since. If it is Dauda, he could have blown it off. But Dauda refused to see us, and when he come back to the country up till today, Dauda did not call either Badaru or myself about the trip to Zamfara. He never. Badaru is around, he should go and ask him. So I don't need to be joining issue with him, because everybody knows Dauda is a serial liar. He's an unserious person, and he is just banging on his failure. Let him accept his failure first.
So let's wind down now. So in terms of still a little bit about security, there are several allegations, things circulating that mineral resources, gold, is part of this problem. They say politicians, including yourself, they accuse you too of benefiting from the mineral resources, and that's why people there don't want it to end, those who are benefiting from the mineral resources. So let me ask you categorically, are you part of those benefiting?
So let me tell you, I will give you a letter that I wrote to Mr. President when I was a governor. I wrote to Buhari when he was a president, for him to declare no-fly zone in Zamfara State, for him to put a ban on mining completely, to ban mining in Zamfara State. I personally wrote the letter to Mr. President then. I will forward the letter to you, and he approved all my recommendations. And you bear me witness that Zamfara were declared no-fly zone and banned the mining up till today. But guess what? Dauda now wrote to the Ministry of Aviation for the lifting of no-fly zone. Now, we don't have airport in Zamfara State. If me as a governor then write to president, despite the fact that we don't have much challenges as it is today in Zamfara State, that time, Zamfara people are most cured during my time. But I wrote to Mr. President because there is an episode that happens that some people are going around with a helicopter that is for Zamfara State. Based on that, I now decided to write that letter to Mr. President to place Zamfara on no-fly zone, which Mr. President approved for me. It was there. So, but today, Dauda is writing to the government, federal government, that he wants that no-fly zone to be lifted. For what reason? Why does he want the no-fly zone to be lifted in Zamfara State? Do we have an airport in Zamfara? We don't have airport. Why does he want the ban on mining to be lifted, which his predecessor wrote to the president and put that ban? So if I'm benefiting from it, why can I go and write to Mr. President?
Well, you're Minister of State for Defense now. What would you recommend as the solution to make sure banditry ends and there's peace?
Let me tell you what they're supposed to do now, particularly the governors has a vital role to play. But as I said, we thank these governors, particularly the governor of Sokoto, Katsina, Niger, Kaduna. They are doing wonderfully well on issue of security. They are supporting our troops, our armed forces. And they are always on alert. Always on alert every day. Like governor of Niger, always texting me if there is anything. The same thing governor of Kaduna, the same thing governor of... We have been talking to them. And look at how they are trying to, maintain their state. Try to bring out a lot of initiative for the people to benefit. So, but if all of them can come up together, put head together, and take a decision, a unanimous decision with the federal government, we can be able to have more successes on fighting these criminals. Because during our time, all of us, the governors, all of our commissioners of securities are meeting every week. All the commissioners in our zones, including Niger, is part of our meetings to strategize, and they are sharing intelligence within themselves. All the commissioners, they are sharing. And commissioners of police of all the state, commissioner of security, the DSS of all the state are connecting to each and every one of them. So they have a platform that time that they are working together, which we as a governors, we saw on the platform what they are doing every minute, every hour. So the governors need to come together so that they can support the federal government. As I said, those governors, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, Kaduna, and yes, Niger, they are working. We are working with them without any problem, no problem. The daughter take the issue of, it's personal. He take it personal, very personal. Now look at what he was saying on your screen. He want to take all the credit, no problem. Let him take the credit. We give him the credit. All we need is our people to be secured. All we need is for people to move freely. All we need is to get the successes that we have gotten. So anybody who can take the credit, let him take the credit. We don't care about that. But we know our troops are working, and we are going to continue to support our troops. We don't mind anyone who will take the credit. All we want is for the peace to reign in the Northwest and in Nigeria in general.
All right, well, we'll anchor at that point. Mr. Bello Matawalle, Honorable Minister of State for Defense, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you very much. You are welcome.
All right, so guys, there you have it. But coming up now is Business Morning on Sunrise TV. Come on.
Come on! How do you want to know?
I thought that's what we have next.
Okay, let's go do some business. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Yeah. About having fun on Sunrise Daily. I think that's what Chamberlain and Ayu and Kayla are doing right there. It spills over to this side. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. Yes, we'll do business right here. We'll start from the global space, and China is moving the market, the oil market, this morning after that announcement of a monetary policy stimulus from top importer China, as well as concerns that tensions in the Middle East could hit regional supply, while a major hurricane loomed over the United States. You know, Hurricane Francine, we thought that was over, but the impact is still there. Now let's look at the numbers this morning. Huge jump is what we see for Brent, about 84 cents. That's more than 1% for Brent. But I mean, yeah, we haven't recovered up to that $80 yet. $74.74. After it went up $1.14%, while for WTI of the United States also went up more than 1%, 1.31% at $71. That's about 92 cents. Huge movement we've seen, and it's all hooked on that plan by China. They're planning, they're unveiling bigger stimulus. They want to cut rates, and it's all to pull the economy out of a deflationary funk. You know, since they had that avant-garde, Evergrande real estate issue in China, things have not been the same, but analysts are warning more fiscal help was vital to hit these goals. A rally on oil prices may not, however, be sustainable in the medium term, as internal demand may continue to be weak, while more accommodative monetary policies are not matched by expansionary fiscal policies. Let's come back to Nigeria now and look at that at the Naira. The close of trade yesterday, there was a Central Bank of Nigeria intervention in the market. In spite of that, we did see a drop in the value of the naira, 1.371% drop on the naira. Since demand is really aggressive these days, so in spite of the CBN intervening, we still see that drop. So it opened on NAFEM at 1,541 naira 52 kobo. Remember, there was also an intervention on Friday, so it's back to back now for the trading days, but closed at 1,562 naira 66 kobo. For NAFEX, it was also a drop, almost 3%, even worse than what happened at NAFEM. So it opened at 1,611 naira 97 kobo, but closed at 1,659 naira 66 kobo. Now, of course, this is going to be a major consideration for the MPC. They started that meeting yesterday. We expect decision today. So, as always, we're going to have a special Basing episode today, later on, with Ladi Williams to bring you analysts and, of course, the live announcement of that. So, inflation that's tapered 2 months, the threat of energy inflation that's feeding in now, what has happened to the value of the naira, you know, in the last couple of months or weeks. These are considerations of the Monetary Policy Committee as they meet. Let's find out, before we head there, we're going to have Mr. Wani speak on that, but just before we head there, now the Governing Council of the Chartered Institute of Directors of Nigeria, they seem to be ready to hold their annual conference, and it's holding in Lagos. The Institute believes that participation by both the public and the private sector discussing corporate governance can make a difference in how issues are approached in businesses and by the government. Directors and C-suite executives of corporates from different sectors in Nigeria gathered here ahead of the 2024 Annual Directors Conference themed Good Governance as a Catalyst for Economic Recovery, Growth and Development.
This theme is not merely an abstract concept. Rather, it has real-world implications for economic growth and social progress in our dear country. As a leader in advocating sound corporate governance in Nigeria, the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria remains steadfast in its mission to promote global best practices in governance and ethical leadership.
The organizing committee is confident in the theme, as they say it's a necessary conversation in Nigeria at this time for both the public and private sectors.
Now transformation is happening, and it might not be sitting well with a lot of the businesses. How do we start to talk about what is needed as far as governance to make that happen? See, governance brings sustainability and growth, because you're taking away the biases and you're bringing in those things that is pertinent to growing a business and an economy.
The Institute believes that failure of corporate governance has contributed largely to Nigeria's economic challenges, especially the inactivity of state-run oil refineries. Yeah, so just before that report, we're telling you about expectations from the MPC today. Started the meeting yesterday, announcement expected today. We saw the value of the naira in spite of the intervention of the Central Bank of Nigeria into the market. 2 consecutive trading sessions, we've seen a drop in the value of naira. Of course, this and a whole lot more will be considerations by the MPC of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Let's get the thoughts of the Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rwani, on this. Mr. Rwani, good morning. I wonder what you see as the MPC make the announcement today.
Good morning, Ini, and thank you for having me. The reality is that you raised 2 issues. One is, what is the Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee likely to do? And 2, what's happening to the value of the naira? Is that one of the considerations that go into making the decisions today? But let me state clearly that the Monetary Policy Committee is supposedly an independent committee of the Central Bank. Central Bank executives are part of it, and they make decisions based on the best interest of the country in terms of achieving price stability, 1, and ensuring that monetary policy complements other policies, investment, trade, fiscal policies. That is the goal, and that is established. 2 is the fact that why is the naira tumbling at this time when all other things are looking better? The reality is that perfect markets actually designed for information, easy entry and exit, homogeneous commodity, and perfect information. There's no information as to when the next auction is going to be. If the central bank was to announce tomorrow that we are going to have an auction every 2 weeks, without even saying what the amount is, the naira will stabilize almost immediately. I don't think the central bank wants to commit to a program if they are not sure that they have the resources, because that would be irresponsible. But at the same time, you have to understand market sentiment and market psychology. No matter what happens, if the price is right, then the quantity demanded will be equal to the quantity supplied. So I believe that the price today is right, and as a matter of fact, in some circumstances, the naira is probably undervalued. Therefore, it is important that a sequenced and clearly defined program as to this is when we are going to intervene in the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks. It will create some certainty in the market, and people will then begin to, rather than take position and speculate, they will know that it's coming. And if I don't get this week, I will get the following auction. If I don't get that auction, I will get the following auction. And that will take away the uncertainty factor and also the illegitimacy factor, which gives speculators, it actually incentivizes speculators.
Mr. Arwani, you did suggest that perhaps one of the reasons the CBN seems reluctant to give a certain calendar, and plan for their intervention may be, availability. But we've seen our forex reserve accruing the last couple of weeks. Shouldn't that give the CBN that confidence that at least they have the strength to intervene whenever it is necessary?
No, I think that, you see, there's a difference between gross reserves and net reserves. Gross reserves are all put together. But built into those gross reserves are encumbrances and other transactions that we don't know about. The net external reserves may not be as robust as, and will not usually be as robust as the gross external reserves. What should be published is the net external reserves. The net external reserves gives you the ample firepower to intervene in the market. But no news is bad news is better than no news at all. By not coming out to say, yeah, this is the true position of the reserves, by not coming out to say, this is when we are going to intervene, you are giving room to speculators and others who, and speculators in particular, on one hand, and even genuine users who do not know. So the ignorant, the speculative, and those who are actually trying to make arbitrageurs will take advantage of this. So my view, and just my own ignorant view, is that we should come up with a program and be very clear about it, be very intentional about it, and say this is what's going to happen. I believe that if you take away the illicit premium, if you take away the speculative premium, the naira could be trading anything maybe at about 1450, 1500, not 1680 or 1665. I think it's way too much. And mind you, the Federal Reserve has actually just brought down rates by 50 basis points, which means all other currencies should be trading at a higher value than what it was when the US brought down the interest rates. Therefore, there's no reason why, on the one hand, the US interest rates have come down, all other currencies are strengthening, and the naira will be weakening. No, I don't think there's any justification for it, especially when we're selling oil, selling gas. So cocoa price is up almost 2% to 7,800. This time last year, cocoa was trading at $2,000. It's now 4 times higher. LNG is up by 6%, and that's significant, and that's one of our major 14% of our exports. And the price of oil at $75 a barrel. It was 72, 71 about a week ago. So our key exports, oil up to $75 a barrel, LNG up by almost 6%, and it's 14% of our exports. Cocoa, we are projecting that we'll do 250,000 tons this year, and it is 4 times higher in price than what it was at this time last year. So technically speaking, everything looks naira supportive, but markets are afraid because there's lack of information. And I think the central bank will definitely come up clearly with a program which will allow the Naira begin to appreciate. So what do we see? We see the Naira beginning to appreciate later on this year because there'll be visiting friends and relatives, there'll be cocoa main crop harvest, there'll be oil sales, and there'll be LNG sales. So, and then also there's the diaspora bond proceeds which will come in. So when you put all of this together, there is some silver lining at the end that may help the Naira. And I don't want to get people all excited. I only mean that the Naira, the depreciation rate will slow and then begins to appreciate gradually. And that's why I'm saying it could come to in the 1500, 1520 rather than 1680. That's where I think it will end the year.
All right, Mr. Rani, thank you so much. And we see that FDC is expecting the MPC to hold status. But I'm sure you would talk about that and a whole lot more on our news at 10. That will be after the decision has been announced. And we'll see if
See you at 10. See you at 10.
Yes. We'll see if they actually follow the forecast of the FDC and, of course, the expectations or implications of some of
we think they'll maintain status quo. We think so, but we never know.
Yeah. Right? So we'll see you at 10 p.m., Mr. Rani.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, now, so the MPC is in a couple of hours. Today's Business Incorporated is going to be a special one, extended to include the announcement by the CBN governor after the MPC has made its decision. That's at 1 p.m. here on Channels Television. You don't want to miss it. Laddie Williams will be here. I think they have a special conversation for you. That's Laddie and Aniti, because it's a year since the CBN governor has gotten into office. We'll look at the trends that has come since that. All of this is what awaits you at 1 p.m., so you don't want to miss it. But now let's do a little bit of project. And we're talking about Aurora Tech Award. We're preparing for the 2025 edition of that. It's a project of InDrive. We have the 2024 winner with us right here in the studio. We're talking to a winner. Is a good one. Folake Woduni is the winner of 2024 Aurora Tech Award, and she's the founder of and CEO of Emergency Response Africa. I guess it is because of your work as a founder and CEO that you won this Aurora Award. But please educate us. We know it's a project of InDrive. We know InDrive is into transportation. What is Aurora Tech Award? What has it got to do with InDrive and your company as Emergency Response Africa? First of all, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I think I just went on ahead there.
No worries. Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to have you.
So Emergency Response Africa, like you said, is a health tech company that's committed to saving lives. I'm sure you know the situation that we find ourselves in. When people have an emergency, something happens, oftentimes we're panicking, we're trying to figure out what to do. And unfortunately, a lot of times it actually results in death when it doesn't need to. So what we do is provide access to emergency medical services. That's first responders, ambulances, all of that powered by technology. And that's really the connection with InDrive and the Aurora Tech Award. So the Aurora Tech Award was started by InDrive as an initiative to recognize and support women entrepreneurs who are involved in the tech space. And they've been doing it for a few years now. I've had the privilege of being the 2024 winner of the award. And, you know, really for me, I'm here to encourage people to actually apply for next year's award.
So next year, 2025, who can apply? I know you're a tech entrepreneur. Yep. Who can apply? What do they look out for? How did you become a winner? What did you do to become a winner?
Yeah, great question. So anyone who is running, any woman, correction, who is running a technology enterprise, a relatively new one, so they expect you to be under 5 years old as a business. And then they have some other requirements around how much funding you could have, external funding you could have received, because one of the things they're seeking to do is support women businesses with funding as well as support. And so as long as you meet those criteria, you can certainly apply. It's open to women across the continent, so it's not just about Nigeria. So it's definitely competitive, but we encourage as many people as possible to apply. In our case, this is actually our second time applying. So we applied last year.
And you want to win again?
Well, no. So we didn't win last year.
Oh, okay. But you've been called the winner of the 2024.
24, yes. So we applied for the 2023 award first.
Oh, okay.
But we were not selected as the winners, and we just thought, okay, we can apply again. Who knows, maybe second time's the charm, and it turns out that it was. So, for us.
So you want to apply for 2025 again?
I
wanted to say,
no, we're good. This is it.
Okay.
But
so you're now an ambassador.
Exactly.
Like that.
Exactly. Definitely encourage other women to apply, because I think on the whole, the award really seeks to elevate the profile of women doing impactful work. And I think, when I think of what we do at Emergency Response Africa, we're literally saving lives. So it's an opportunity to get more support, more awareness for the business.
Yeah, I guess one of the incentive would be, after being an award winner, of Aurora Award, what difference did it make to you, to your business? I mean, that could be a push for people who could.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things that I appreciate about the award is that it comes with a mix of things. And they're things that every young business truly needs. First and foremost, financing. We say this pretty widely. Women-owned businesses tend to be underfunded. You struggle to get access to the capital you need to start and expand and grow the business. And so the Aurora Tech Award does come with a cash prize, which is something that people can actually be excited about, because you can use that money to expand your business. But the second thing is that it comes with support. You get connected to mentors, and these are global mentors that could actually be helpful to your business depending on the need. And then the final thing is awareness. I mean, the fact that I'm here having this conversation with you is certainly
at least
putting
now
a spotlight.
I know about your
exactly.
company.
It's putting a spotlight on Emergency Response Africa, and that's really courtesy of the Aurora Tech Award.
So I know you call it a tech award. Can you be more specific as to the areas of business that stand a chance? I mean, anybody can apply, because these days you can apply technology into everything.
Absolutely.
But those that stand the chance of being winners or really getting the attention that they need.
So I think people tend to assume that a tech business is, a software business. When you think of traditional software as a service, not necessarily. And especially in our environment, most businesses are not software businesses. Now, you might be technology enabled, as is the case with us. So we provide, first responders, ambulances. We provide clinical medical care to people when they need it. But all of that is powered by technology. It is the technology that allows all those moving pieces to work well together. And so as long as your business has technology at its core, either enabling it or your product is actually a technology solution, then you definitely qualify for
I think
the
that
award.
covers almost everything. Is there anything we do about technology now? Even agriculture has parts for technology.
Absolutely,
so I can't think
but
of anything.
if you are farming and the technology is, helping you keep your books, not the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so yes, everybody uses
but
technology.
If you're farming and then you use something like a drone to water your farm, we've seen the Minister of ICT, I think he has a farm that he does things like that. Does that count?
I'll say, I will let the women decide for themselves. One thing, women, we tend to exclude ourselves, right, prematurely. So I'll say, if you think that you are a good fit, absolutely apply. There's no harm in applying.
Okay, and we see that the fact that you're here today, I think about a year after you won, means like InDrive keeps in touch, with awardees. So is it a continuous relationship, or do you understand?
So we won this year. In March of this year on International Women's Day, we received the award. And I would say that for kind of the next, few months till the end of the year, or let's say till the next winner is announced, I have the privilege of being, like you said, the ambassador for the award. So every year there's going to be a new winner. And once that person comes in, I will gladly bow out and move on.
Yeah, but does that mean you cut off the relationship? Because there's always the need for continuity, maintaining that knowledge, perhaps even getting you as an alumni, for instance, maybe to help the younger people, that continuous relationship that can sustain even your business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That relationship will continue. I think, I've joined a pool of other women who have previously won this award as well. And there will be more people in the future. So it does definitely, you're right, it forms a community where you can actually reach out to each other and provide support.
So how do people apply?
So if they go on the Aurora Tech Award website, they're able to submit an application. They will ask you questions about yourself as the founder, about your business as well. And at the end of the day, what they're trying to understand is how impactful is the work you're doing. And that is really the basis of evaluation. Is this person doing impactful work? They, as a leader, are they committed to it? Is technology at the core of their business? Those are the things they'll look at, and then they'll decide. I believe the application is open until November, so November 21st. So there's still quite a bit of time. But certainly with every application, the earlier you start, the better for you, because you can put forward a quality one.
Maybe you can share some tips on the screening process to get interested people, prepared. How long does it take when you send that form? When can you expect to get a response? Do you do physical screening? Do they come to your office? Things like that could get people prepared for this.
So I'm sure the process varies slightly from year to year, but what people can essentially expect is that the material that they submitted will be reviewed. They may be invited for an interview or a panel or a pitch where they have to actually present their solution. They will go through a mentorship process. So there's they usually create like a long list and then a short list. So the people that are on the long list, you get access to some mentorship. Depending on how you perform in the mentorship, are you able to receive the support that's given? Are you able to implement it? All of that factors in, and then there's a final judging or a final assessment of every step that you've been through in the process, and then you find out who the shortlisted people are. You all get invited to an award ceremony, and then the finalists, the winners, are
How long does this take, this whole process?
Several months. I mean,
But the next one should be March.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. So by the time the applications close in March, you can expect that, in November, you can expect that by March of next year, the winners will be announced. But of course, between now and then, there will be several points along the way. I believe those that are selected for the long list should actually know before the end of this year, so sometime in December.
And most of this communication is via email, I guess.
Oh, yes. Yes, correct.
All right, interesting right there. But could you tell us again how, interested people can participate, maybe the website?
Yes, exactly. So on the Aurora Tech Award website, they can simply just Google Aurora Tech Award. It will come right up, and they'll be able to submit an application. It's very evident.
All right. Thank you so much, and congratulations once again.
So
I wanted to ask you how much, but I won't put you in the spot.
It's public information. It's online. So anybody who's curious can look up Emergency Response Africa as the winner of the Aurora Tech
But this
Award.
has helped your business, I believe.
Definitely. I think the resources that they gave us allowed us to invest in first aid training. So as a company, yes, we respond to emergencies to go and help you, but we also want to equip you to actually know what to do when something happens around you. And so this year, one of our goals was to train 1,000 people with first aid skills. And that funding allowed us to invest in our training center to actually go out and market and promote that training and really support that campaign to get people ready to respond. And that's a lot of the work we've been doing this year.
Yeah, sounds very loyal or royal right there. But is this all in Lagos?
No. So we operate in multiple states within Nigeria. We're in about 6 different states in Nigeria. So not just Lagos. We support both private companies. We partner with the government as well. And the goal is really how can we make sure that anyone who has an emergency, regardless of who they are, their ability to pay, their socioeconomic status, can actually get the care that they need.
All right. Thank you so much, Falake Ojuni, and congratulations once again for winning this year and for your company.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, so now let's look at the market for a bit before we head back to the Sunrise Daily studio. Yesterday was a good day for the NGX. We saw retaining that green color is what the NGX did, 0.14%, and also retaining the 98,000 level recovered last week and 56.536 trillion naira, just 80 billion naira. Did I just say just 80 billion naira? Well, for the market, 80 billion naira is just, it may not be for me, but 80 billion naira is what the market gained yesterday to retain that 56.5 trillion naira. Activity charts yesterday was mixed, mostly green though, 810.43 million in volume. Value was down about 18%, and deals added more than 22, almost 23%, 10,669 deals at the close of trade. Banking recovered and stayed recovered, but not all Fugas recovered yesterday, somewhere in the red. FBN Holding is back on the trending path. You need to find out why. Perhaps you want to be a part of it. Consumer goods also did recover yesterday. Industrial goods, insurance, and oil and gas went down. Owando is done with the shining days. Japogo also, they were down yesterday, 0.09%. Top trades at the close of trade yesterday. Transcorp, Fidelity, and Access were the top trades. You will notice they're mostly from the financial services. But that's it. Remember, 1 p.m., that's a couple of hours from now, we'll be opening the studio for Business Incorporated Special to incorporate the announcements of the MPC decision for September. And then we'll give you analysis before and after. And don't forget to join Mr. Bismarck Rawani on News at 10. He will also tell you if his forecast was right or not and what you can expect following the decision. That's all on Channels TV. But now let's head back to the Sunrise Daily Studio.
Welcome back. Yes, now Mr. Ebun joins us next. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria, and he's here in the studios. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Edo elections. More reactions coming through from that elections, but different groups, of course, did observe it. But let me ask you first, from what you've seen and read, what do you make of it?
I think that generally, I believe that we still have a long way to go in terms of leadership recruitment. Remembering that the process will commence, obviously, from the primary election of the political parties and then dovetail to the main election. Understanding that the major focus of election is always about free contest, credibility, and also the issue of secret ballots. Those factors played out in this election in terms of the turnout of the voters, and then the issue of pressure on the secret ballot. If your decision becomes influenced by extraneous factors beyond your own will, then the issue of free will comes into question. Everybody who had participated in the election in Edo State has confirmed that there was vote buying by virtually the major political parties. So you couldn't say that the people actually exercised their free choice if it was influenced by other considerations beyond personal decision. So you will see that maybe you could have the view, for instance, that the ruling party deliberately imposed poverty and suffering on the people in order to use it as a factor to weaponize, their choice.
Ruling party, federal or state?
I'm talking about federal.
Federal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you look at that, but you also agree that, unlike other elections, the conduct of the electorate in Edo State assisted in achieving some measure of peace, unlike cases where in the past people will come and take away the ballot boxes, disrupt the proceedings, So if you're going to look at the election generally, you will say that maybe INEC needs to look at issues relating to logistics, because you wouldn't believe that in an election in 2024, materials will arrive late in places like Benin City, which is the metropolitan center of Edo State.
Mr. Ebun,
so, something that INEC will have to look into.
Just something that you said, I've been trying to make a sense of it. When you say we still have a long way to go, it's a little intriguing. We've been doing this almost 25 years now, going back and forth on elections. Every election day, particularly for national elections or gubernatorial elections, be it general or off-cycle, we talk about the same thing. We need to tinker with our processes. We need to tinker with our laws. Is it a problem of the laws, the problem of the problem of the people executing the laws? Is it a problem of the law or the problem of the political parties, the major institutions, the electoral umpire, the political parties, and their active persons, the politicians, or that of the people?
I think generally when it comes to a stage when people consistently witness a process that does not lead to the final outcome of their expectation or their will, they resign. I mean, and we must analyze the Edo election in that perspective. People in Edo State, maybe about 3 million, about 2.6 of them agreed to register for election. Only about 2.4 actually collected PVCs. But the people who actually participated in the election are just about 600,000. So you see the culture that people have resigned. They've lost faith in the system. It's not even about the laws at all. Well, even if you amend the law and people are no longer having confidence in that system, we'll keep coming out with this kind of result. I checked the NBA, Nigerian Bar Association Electoral Monitoring Group report. We had a polling unit where there were 1,026 registered voters in that particular polling unit. Only 10 people turned out for the election out of 1,026. So we had over 1,000 people who were not interested.
Is it that they're not interested? Or, you know, I don't like talking about elections in Nigeria, and it's because every time there's an election, off-cycle or regular cycle elections, we have the same conversation. Doesn't feel like anything is happening. Doesn't even feel like anything's getting better. People try to talk about the improvements that have been made in the electoral process, and they talk about the IREV and the BVAS and things like that. But trust in the electoral system. Trust that your vote counts. Nigerians are gradually getting to a point where they don't care anymore. Not because they hate the system or they don't want to care, but because it just feels like, what's the point? Why would I put myself through all of that trouble and then knowing that, you know, things like this would come up, the vote buying and all of these issues that we're hearing coming from civil society organizations? I want to be able to get solutions. How do we get... People say, how can INEC win the trust of the people back? But let's talk about it on a broader scale. How do we get Nigerians to trust our electoral process if over the years it's coming off across as though the process doesn't matter?
I think that, and honestly I must be open with you to say, we shouldn't focus on INEC alone. The general trend in Nigeria is that a ruling party is unwilling to lose power and will do everything to retain that power. If you check through the electoral process, even in the states where local government elections were conducted, I mean, you will hear that PDP in the states where they have control, they will sweep all the chairmanship elections and the councillorship elections. The same thing in APC where they have control. So the people have gotten used to the fact that the leaders don't want to accept the will of the people. And so people who have genuine interest in going out to participate in the electoral process, they have looked at the process, it's not transparent. You know, they have looked at the process, it will still produce the mind of those who are in power. So you can't cajole the electorate to go and participate in a process. They almost know the outcome. So we keep saying it. And that's why the Edo thing became a little challenging. That security agencies were there. And reports were that money was being used to buy the votes. And the people who are giving the money will sit in front of the polling units to ensure that when you go in to vote, you will display whom you have voted for before you collect the money. And this was happening. Nobody has been arrested.
Apologies, I don't mean to cut you there, but I don't want us to leave that point, because we're talking about these infractions, these problems that come up during the elections. Is there any way that these problems, when they arise, can cost an election? Can cost a party an election? Because you see, as much as we want to, say, oh, these things are bad, yes, they are. But what consequence comes afterwards? I don't know if you understand what I mean.
I do.
In places like Zamfara, for instance, when the primaries had the problems, at the time when Bello Matawalle came into office as governor, remember, there was a lot of infractions like that, but they were strong enough for the Supreme Court to be able to remove everybody from the All Progressives Congress, which brought Bello Matawalle as governor of Zamfara State. Now, that is where a system is taking control, despite what your shenanigans might be. When it comes to our elections, is there any way that these infractions can cost someone an election?
That will go back to what I raised about whether it's the law or those who are operating it. The law currently captures the capture mentality. That just do all you can to ensure that you are declared the winner. Then ask the loser to go to court. And the meaning of go to court is to say that our law bends in favor of substantial compliance. What the law expects is substantial compliance. So which means there are some little lapses that will probably not be captured by law. And then secondly is this. Some lawyers will probably not accept a brief to file a petition to reclaim a mandate because they know the task of proving that you have won an election.
But it's a good,
in Nigeria. I'm just saying, answering her question. Because the issue you raised about the Supreme Court in Zamfara has to do with pre-election. It's not the election itself. So when you look at the conditions imposed by law for you to obtain a declaration, you have to go to all the polling units, you have to bring all the people who participated.
Isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth it if we're trying to get people to trust our process of elections again? Isn't it something that maybe we should start thinking about?
No, what you should
we'll stop dancing around this.
No, what you should start thinking about, Kela, is this. INEC conducted the elections. They have the materials. They have all the information that is required.
So should move the burden.
Our law should move to INEC. You conducted the election. Come and display how you conducted the election. Not for me who is an outsider. How long it will take me to be able to get those results from INEC, to get experts to come and compare them, and you only have 14 days to file your petition.
Let me take a.
That's why they say go to court all the time.
I know it's not a funny issue, but yesterday. Chamberlain, Mawkwe and I were raising the issue of compliance meter. We were asking, you just talked about it now, and I was saying, look, if it's the issue of substantial compliance, maybe we need to have a kind of compliance meter, something that can say, okay, this is how you measure compliance. And Chamberlain says it's not even the law, it's the court that's the compliance meter. Do you agree with him?
Well, it's neither here nor there. And this is the reason. I'll tell you the reasons why. The judges don't make the laws. It's the National Assembly, the Electoral Act, the Constitution. There are the two major laws guiding the conduct of election in Nigeria. And then the guidelines made by INEC, the Constitution of the political parties. These are the documents that people will look at generally when you want to talk about cases bordering on election. So the responsibility of the court is to interpret. And we've been pushing them that let's not have court-declared governors. Let's not have legislators that are declared by the court. So it then takes us back to INEC. Because the courts will only interpret the laws that the National Assembly has made. The confusions, the ambiguities, the lacuna, they are all a product of
essentially
ineffective legislation.
I know we need to take a short break now.
Yeah.
So, you are saying essentially that the burden of proof should not be the political party.
It should not be on the people who participated in the election.
Okay.
It should be for the person who conducted the election. You are an umpire.
But it is
you are the respondent, I am the petitioner. Why would you say I, who lost the election, should come and prove that I won?
But you are the one taking the case to court. You are the one who has an issue with the declaration of INEC.
Yes, that's the point we are making, that if the election is conducted in an atmosphere where you have facilities, you have access, everything is transparent, as soon as you go to the INEC portal, you can get the results. It's so easy. But when you get to a system where only INEC has the capacity or power to release those results to you, there's nothing you can do.
But isn't that the reason we have IREV?
The IREV is still INEC's property. Yeah, so you can't have it yourself. You can't go and tender it in court.
Why not? It's a public document.
No. By law, the person who has otherwise every other person will be trending whatever it is they have, including fake IREV. So you can only take the one that comes from INEC.
So you see what the point is the courts are determined in our current circumstances.
If everybody is allowed to bring IREV, then there will be crisis. So that's why you allow only the INEC.
We're back in just a moment, just a quick break. Don't go away. All right, welcome back. Well, looking at the NBA's election working group reports on this same elections, if I could just quote some parts of it, it says, the low voter turnout, influence of money, and delays in the distribution of election materials were notable concerns. However, the conduct of voters, election officials, and security personnel were commendable, contributing to a largely peaceful election process. This is part of what the NBA's group said. So how do we situate this in the context of what you said, that look, there are question marks concerning the outcome?
Yes, I think generally that refers to their conclusion. But in the analysis of the report, you will discover that they made efforts to highlight the challenges, because this report should be used for subsequent elections in order to improve on those lapses as they occurred during the elections. And the major one is this, because the credibility of election is not only in the polling itself, but also in accreditation, in collation of results, announcement of results. So it's good for materials to get early, to get to the venue of the voting early enough, so that maybe by 12 o'clock or thereabout, if you started early, you will be able to conclude the results, and then the collation become easier. And within 24 hours, you probably will know the outcome of that election. That's one point. The second point was that they got to a unit where they only saw one INEC officer who was confused, only one person who didn't know what to do, until security agencies rallied around her to assist her to do the work. So you will question why you deploy only one staff to a polling unit, who will be attending to voters, accredit them, attend to their complaints. So I believe that this report, for instance, is majorly for INEC to go back and look at the drawing board for subsequent elections, because it's just election in one state of the federation. But so if you couldn't deploy all your arsenal, all your machinery, all your staff to achieve almost perfection, I then doubt what will happen when you are conducting election in 12 states.
To what extent should people regard that part of the report when, if they say, look, the overall outcome of the elections, assuming for those who say it did not reflect the will of the people, and then they say, look, I went out to vote, my vote didn't count. So if people look at that overall outcome and then say the process is tainted, can they then say, well, some part was good, when if you look at the big picture, it didn't achieve the results that people wanted?
Well, law does not look at it from that perspective. Because you're looking at the majority of people who participated in the election. Maybe 10 people, for instance, participated in the election. Mm-hmm. If in the 10 places where that election took place, the infractions only happen in one place, it will not be democratic to use that single infraction to invalidate the will of the other 9 people. So, which takes me back to the issue of substantial compliance.
Which we don't know what yes, depending on what the lawyers present to the courts.
So you cannot say because there were infractions in just one unit and then you annul the votes of the other 10 or 9 units. So that's what the report of the NBA is saying, that substantially in overall, maybe you had about 80% compliance, or maybe 70% or whatever it's worth. But my point is this. If you look at the Edo election, for instance, do we say that the people who voted for the PDP candidate, were they voting for Governor Obaseki, who closed the National Assembly, the House of Assembly for years, who has not done any project meaningful for the people of that state? Would you say they were voting for the federal government, led by President Bola Tinubu, who has imposed suffering on our people, exchange rate is out of the roof, insecurity has gotten to an extent that we couldn't ever imagine in this country. So you look at the factors that probably really election is not a determination of performance. Because I was shocked when the president said the fact that they voted for the candidate of the APC is an endorsement of his economic policies, which is actually not correct.
I mean, I want to be able to talk about that because that brings us, that actually takes us to where we're looking at next in our elections in this country. One of the criticisms that the APC has, and in fact, what we heard from civil society was that it was across board, that vote buying was done across board.
Oh, yes.
Now, you talked about weaponizing of poverty, and many people really don't understand that point. Because what that means is that in subsequent elections, it will be the highest bidder.
Are we going to be poorer?
Are we going to get poorer and need more money by 2027? At which point, if you have the money, you would be the one who wins. What does that say about our process? And what can be done? Is there anything that can be done about it? Or are we sitting ducks waiting for 2027 to get here and then hope that the money that you bring is 50,000 as opposed to the 10,000 of 2023?
I think that the policy generally of those who are in power is to frustrate the people, make life difficult, such that at the time the election will be on your doorstep, at your doorstep, you have no choice than to accept, collect money and go and cook. I think that's just okay. That's what they say nowadays. So you see that those who don't need that money will stay at home. And that's what played out in Edo. Those who don't require 10,000 to survive, they didn't come out. It was the people who had been put at the mercy of the wickedness and difficulty of government policies that actually took part to participate in the election. And that's what's happening. Yeah. Because in Edo State, for instance, the presence of the military, the presence of the security agencies, even though desirable, also assisted in sending everybody back home. People were sending warnings to their children, please stay at home. Watch your life.
But to the question of money playing a role that Kayla mentioned, in the same report of the EWG of the NBA, they're asking for stronger measures to be implemented to prevent political parties from using money to influence voters. The question is, what are the measures that are necessary again? Which is the reason I was asking whether the political parties were supposed to play a role in the entire process. So what measures do we have to discourage vote buying? And what are the other measures that you think the NBA could be referencing here?
In the places where they noticed these absurdities, the security agencies were there. Not just NBA, Yaga Africa also brought the same report. That you openly see people discussing the volume of what you would take for the voting. So security agencies were there.
Oh, dear.
So as long as security is in the hands of the ruling power, it's a difficult thing for us to expect some level of neutrality. Because the political party in power was bent on capturing the state, if I can use that word capture. And they are in charge of security. So it became a matter of the highest bidder then. So they would turn the blind eye to such process. So in our own system, in subsequent elections, even though we desire that security agencies should participate in the election to assure citizens of freeness, fairness, credibility, so long as the ruling party is in control of the security agencies, they will always use it to advantage.
Let's wind down with one of the points you were making about the president saying this validates our policies. Because, I mean, isn't that what it is? Because, as you said, those who didn't need the money didn't come out. So if you didn't come out, and then people go to vote, and whoever wins, the person will say, look, they like my policies. That's why they are voting. So it may sound ironic. Isn't that realistic? That's the way it just looks.
Chimalin, virtually everybody who wants to travel to the east, to the north, go through Edo State. Let's just use road network.
I understand your point.
Yes.
But the thing is this, maybe the lessons there is this. Those who should have come out to vote, who didn't come out to vote, by not coming out to vote, this is the meaning, this is the implication of not coming out to vote.
No.
So if they want to change it, if you don't want them to say, you like my policy, that's why I want, then go out there and vote.
No, it's the other way around.
Which way? Okay.
The people who didn't come out to vote have made a declaration of lack of confidence in the electoral process.
No, but that's what Chamberlain's point is. If you don't vote, it's a vote.
No, I'm saying
if you don't vote, it's a vote.
No.
If you voted for the person.
No, Kayla.
You voted against the person that's supposed to win.
This is the point I'm making.
Not voting is a vote.
No, this is what I'm making. Make the voting less cumbersome. Make the voting attractive. make the voting in such a way that if I vote, my vote will count. If you continue to do it in such a way that it's a matter of substantial compliance, if you continue to do it in such a way that it's a matter of vote buying, I, who probably don't have interest in that process, will not participate.
So in what way,
it goes back to the
what way can we make it appealing?
The electoral laws. The National Assembly should review the 2022 electoral law.
What aspect?
Every of the law, the ambiguities, when do you resign to contest elections, the courts have had to walk overboard to interpret these provisions, so collate those decisions and then come out with, an amended draft. Secondly is that we said break INEC. Break it completely. INEC is too powerful. INEC is too big. Conduct elections, you are in charge of logistics, you are in charge of campaign, you are in charge of announcing results, you are in charge of voter campaign, you are in charge of monitoring primaries. No single agency can achieve.
Is it possible to make vote buying such a heinous offense?
It's an offense already.
It is, but is it possible to make it one that the punishment is more stringent, such that people will not be encouraged to do it? Not the electorate, the political parties. If for instance, if they catch your agent doing vote buying in this ward, if you have to give up 2,000 votes, if you have to drop 2,000 votes because they've caught your agent doing vote buying there, it will reduce.
Kayla,
I think in many ways it will reduce
even if you impose maximum punishment of death on vote buying, so long as there's nobody arrested, the law becomes meaningless. Even if it's not because the law is not in existence, because the people who are concerned, they will turn a blind eye to it for their own political
interest. Do you think we are ready for electronic voting? Full electronic voting?
In the light of network issues, illiteracy, it will be a big challenge in Nigeria. Be a big challenge.
But if people don't come out to vote, the implication is that whoever goes out to vote, that vote will count. If you're in your house, your vote cannot count on your house.
If the electoral system is not attractive, it's not simplified, if it's not made to produce the outcome of that vote, it's a disincentive for people to come out. So it goes back to the ruling party, the government, the security agencies, National Assembly, work out a system that will make the outcome of the election reflect the will of the people.
Well, interesting point, Mr. Ebun, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Thank you for your time this morning.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Let's see. I think can we take one or two? I don't know. Okay. I see quite a number here. Festus says that no life was lost in Edo State governorship election is good. Even if angels came down from heaven to conduct our elections, losers will still allege rigging even when they have no concrete evidence. There is no doubt that the Edo governor-elect will have a lot on his hands when he assumes office. He must look beyond his campaign slogan and soundbites to provide good healthcare, education, and infrastructure for the people.
Well, here we come. But Jesus for the street, thank you so much. First is everyone who sent us messages. Thank you all so much for all of your messages. But we're out of time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try and take them tomorrow or something.
We'll try. We'll see.
We'll try.
Keep sending. If you don't send them, we won't have anyone to read. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Have a great day ahead. I'm Kayla Magwa.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Bye for now.